We're in New York City at the Javits Center for Book Expo America, and we're at a display here for the Wordsmiths Project with Sally Wiener Grotta. Could you explain for us what is the Wordsmiths Project?
For the Wordsmiths Project, I'm doing portraits of people behind the scenes in book publishing, people who make a difference or have made a difference in what we read. They influence what we read. And they make significant contributions. The whole purpose of it is to honor these people while at the same time increasing awareness and hopefully funds for the Writers' Emergency Assistance Fund. And the Writers' Emergency Assistance Fund is it's a parachute for authors and writers. In this society, we don't have any support for them. If they can be incredible writers, like a Pulitzer Prize winning playwright whose royalties ran out and suddenly had a lot of medical bills. He was able to continue paying his rent and not be evicted because of the Writers' Emergency Assistance Fund.
Well, how did this fund get started, and who's behind it?
Okay, the fund is run by American Society of Journalists and Authors, but you don't have to be a member of ASJA to apply. You just have to be a professional writer. The way the Wordsmiths Project got started was that I'm an author, I'm also a photographer, and I wanted to do something that was meaningful and that I'd have fun with. I love photographing, creating portraits of people. And I knew I wanted to do it of people I would find fascinating. Well, I love my own publishing fellows, and so it just fell into place. And of course I had to make it meaningful, which is why I'm dedicating it to the fund.
So give us an example of some of the people you have pictured here and why you took pictures of them.
Well, for instance, there's Barney Rossett. Now, Barney Rossett is an incredible character. I believe he's in his 90s, maybe even 95. He fought the censors for all of us back in the 50s and 60s when the American government was trying to control what we would read. He published Lady Chatterley's Lover and Tropic of Cancer and so many other important pieces of literature that were taboo back then, and opened up the world for all of us to be able to read what we want to. I call him the literary pugilist. Marvelous, marvelous gentleman.
What were some of the fights he had, and what were the costs to him? I mean,
Oh, the costs were tremendous. He ran Grove Press, and he had to fight the censors. I mean, you should see in his library, he has in his bookshelves it's about this thick of notebooks that he got from Freedom of Information Act of what they were gathering on him. They were trying to blackball him and blackmail him. And remember, this is the McCarthy era. He kept going. He wouldn't be intimidated. And he loves a good fight. You can tell even today in his 90s, he loves a good fight. So that's one type of person I'm focusing on, are the legendary. The other type of person are people who are influencing publishing today. People like Patrick Henry Bass of Essence magazine. Patrick Henry Bass is a senior editor at Essence. He is in charge of the book section. In an era in which book sections are shrinking and being eliminated, Essence magazine's section is increasing, and the energy that they're able to create among their readers is phenomenal. He's a very eloquent gentleman, and he loves literature, and it comes through so thoroughly. So I had to honor him. Somebody else that I really felt strongly about was Pat Schroeder. Now, Pat Schroeder we know her as our former congresswoman from Colorado, who at the time, she did a lot of work for copyright. Now, she's left politics, and she's president of the American Association of Publishers. And she is trying to just promote the wonder of reading and encourage everybody to read. So, of course, I had to surround her with wondrous things. Then we have people like Steve Ross. Steve Ross is Crown Publishing guru. He's the vice president and publisher at Crown Publishing. And Steve is, he is one of the more influential publishers in this industry, and he has created both right-wing and left-wing imprints. He just believes that all the stories have to be out there, and that the reader has a right to choose. So those are the kind of people that are currently affecting our industry.
Well, this image that you have here, how did you create an image like that?
Well, first I took a photograph. Now Steve, I always think of Steve as a young man because I met him 19 years ago when he was an associate editor at Wiley on one of my books. So I always think of him as a young man. So I asked him to pose sitting on a conference table cross-legged, forgetting that he has matured a little bit and maybe the bones creak a little bit. But he was game. And then I surrounded him with books on the sides here. And then he couldn't understand why I was doing this, but after our meeting I said, give me all your books. And I went into the hallway and I took individual photographs. And I spent about a week working on it in the computer to create this juggling, four-handed gentleman for his sleight of hand.
Before you go on to another image, where do these images appear? Where can people see them?
Okay, there is a website called www.wordsmithsproject.com. That's wordsmiths with an S, project.com. And in fact, at wordsmithsproject.com, I am asking everybody to give me nominations of people they feel have influenced or are influencing publishing in a significant way. And please send me the name, the contact information, and why you feel it is important to honor that person. And there's a third category of person that Steve Ross fit into 19 years ago, and that's the young people who have a spark. These are young people that when you look at them and you hear them talk about their work, you know they are going to fly, that they have so much promise. For instance, we have young Sarah Knight. She's an editor at Holt, who has so much energy in her and passion for her work. There's no doubt if publishing can hold her, she's going to be someone rather important. And we have Molly Glick, an agent at the G. Nagar Agency, who, by the way, the minute I put her up on my website at wordsmithsproject.com, we get more hits with people searching the keywords of her name than all the others put together. And I'm talking about from China and India and Africa as well as this continent. It's fascinating to me that we have that kind of energy happening for such a young agent.
And before we conclude, can we look at the image of Sam Tanenhaus, who is the editor of the New York Times Book Review down there. Also, you say this is a fundraiser.
Yes.
How does that work? How does it earn money?
Well, the first thing is I had to get the industry aware of the fund. We are selling the pictures online, but you don't even have to buy a picture. Online, you can hit donate online, and you can send $5, $100, $1,000, I don't care. Support it in some way, in any way. These are the writers that give us so much. They create the worlds that we fantasize about. They give us the information we need to live on. And there is no support other than these kinds of funds. So I'm hoping that by increasing awareness, and it seems that pictures gather more interest than just saying that, hey, we need money. So we do it that way.
Well, Sally Wiener Grotta, thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard, very much. And thank you, everyone.